Well, welcome back. Here is the second of a two-part series on the history of Newport Beach. In Episode 1, we witnessed the birth of the first city in Orange County to incorporate, way back in 1906. Although the beach towns up and down the coast of Southern California share many similarities, Newport Beach rises above the rest because of its significance in providing building materials and shipping agricultural products for the rapidly growing Orange County via McFadden's Wharf. Like each of my other videos in this series, I have colorized and enhanced each of the following images, not to alter the past, but to bring them to life. No disrespect intended to the original photographers. When the city of Newport incorporated in 1906, the newly formed community of Corona del Mar was annexed. The land that is today Corona del Mar, meaning Crown of the Sea, was originally a part of the Spanish land grants purchased by James Irvine in 1875. In this photograph of Corona del Mar, taken in the early 1890s, you can see how untouched the area was. In 1904, due to the deaths arising from an extended drought, Irvine sold 700 acres of coastal property to George E. Hart. That was to become Corona del Mar. In July of 1904, Hart took out an ad in the Santa Ana Daily Evening Blade, offering lots for sale and promising a 600-foot ocean pier, a 300-foot pier in the bay, running water, and an 80-foot boulevard on Ocean and Bay Streets. In this Corona del Mar survey map completed in 1904, you can see the planned amenities. In 1925, lots sold between $100 to $750 apiece. Those same lots today go from several million to over $20 million. Unfortunately, water service and access proved problematic, and sales stalled. In this early photo taken in 1905, you can see the original pier built as per the advertisement. Check out the tourists, or potential homebuyers, huddled together in the bluffs. I missed them at first. To improve access to his property, Hart built a road from the back bay down Bayside and then up to the Hotel Del Mar. You can also see they managed to complete the Bayside Pier. It would be 1910 before the first homes were built here. In July of 1907, the Hotel Del Mar opened up on the bluff overlooking Newport Bay. It boasted 30 guest rooms, with a commanding view of the burgeoning city of Newport Beach in Newport Bay. In 1925, the hotel was turned into the Balboa Palisades Club. By 1915, only about a dozen more homes would be built, and Hart abandoned his investment, trading his property for 5,000 acres in Riverside County. It would still be another 10 years before the paved Roosevelt Highway would be completed, bringing in a whole new wave of homebuyers, they hoped. And yes, that was a pirate ship you saw in the background. For the epic 1924 silent film Captain Blood, 2 old sailing ships were converted into Spanish galleons and pirate ships at the shipyard just west of the pavilion. During the filming, both ships were sunk off the coast of Catalina. Built in the 1920s, Spar's public bathhouse was used by Corona del Mar's Surfboard Club. Spar saw surfing as a way to attract tourists and potential real estate buyers. Olympic surfer Duke Kahanamoku was one of its members. Winning the gold medal in the 100-meter freestyle at both the 1912 and 1920 Olympic Games, Duke is also considered the father of modern-day surfing. This iconic photo shows Duke and Viola Hartman tandem surfing at Corona del Mar in 1922. Here is a group of Corona del Mar Surf Club members, Gerald Volti, Owen Hale, Bill Herwig, and Duke Kahanamoku. In 1928, Corona del Mar hosted the only surf club on the west coast of California, the Corona del Mar Surfboard Club. At noon on Sunday, August 7, 1928, the Corona del Mar Surfboard Association sponsored the first Pacific Coast Surfboard Championship, the first official surf contest on the West Coast, and the mainland U.S. for that fact. 15 contestants entered coming from Corona del Mar, Los Angeles, Santa Monica, Redondo, and Santa Ana. The contestants included Tom Blake, third from the right, who went on to win both competitions that day, riding his revolutionary new 14.5-foot hollow board he designed only 2 years earlier. Beach cities from Huntington to San Clemente were clamoring for the completion of the paved Roosevelt Highway and the home buyers it was expected to bring. After the highway was completed down the coast to Newport Beach, it was extended south to Laguna in 1926. Most of you probably recognize this section of highway, Morro Beach, of course. At first, there was one lane in each direction. It would be widened to 2 lanes in each direction in 1932. By 1928, it had made its way down to San Clemente in San Diego County. The cities of Laguna Beach, Dana Point, Capo Beach, and San Clemente were also relying on this paved highway to boost sales. In this image captured from the second floor of the Balboa Pavilion in 1917, you can still see 3 of the earliest structures built in Newport. On the left side, you can see the Knight Apartments, built in 1913, the Netherland Apartments built in 1912, and the Balboa Hotel erected in 1906, built in only 10 days in order to be ready for the arrival of Huntington's Pacific Electric red cars. In this shot of Main Street taken in 1940, you can see the landscape continued to change. The Great Depression managed to put the brakes on growth in just about every city along the Southern California coastline. They say timing is everything. This shot of Central Avenue, taken in 1936, shows the Pacific Electric tracks running down the middle of the street. It appears that Newport was not in want of drugstores at that time. The Pacific Electric red cars began reducing service on the Newport-Balboa line in the 1940s, with the last passenger run on June 30th of 1950, a 46-year run. By the 1930s, the area surrounding the Back Bay was still active farmland and part of the Irvine Ranch, growing crops like wheat, barley, and beans. Boy, that's a recognizable silhouette. The Irvine family and their successors, the Irvine Company, have played a significant role in preserving large portions of the historic Irvine Ranch in Orange County, California, as protected open space and natural areas. The Upper Newport Ecological Reserve, spanning 752 acres, is one of the largest natural estuaries remaining in California and was set aside in 1975 by the state of California for a wildlife reserve. I'm not sure, but that looks like either a Ford or a Stenson tri-motor aircraft in this photo. Before the harbor could see its real potential, they had to do something about the dangerous harbor entrance. In this aerial shot, you can see what's left from the original attempt to build the West Jetty in 1916. Notice that there is no East Jetty at this time. This photo from 1916 shows the technique for building jetties at that time. First, build a pier-like structure to haul out rocks and deposit them as you go. I know they ran a rail line out to bring in rocks when they completed the final jetties in 1936. I imagine they must have done the same back in 1916. In 1929, the Roosevelt Highway, or what we call today as the Coast Highway, was officially completed. Unfortunately, the throngs of people wishing to purchase real estate never materialized. The next thing you know, you're hit with the Great Depression, lasting from 1929 until the beginning of World War II in 1939. In this map made shortly after the Coast Highway's completion, you can see the location of just about every structure, the little tiny black squares you see. In 1933, local bonds were approved to begin a $1.8 million project to dredge out the sandbars and extend both the west and east jetties. Construction began in December of 1934, and the harbor was officially opened on May 26, 1936. This photo must have been taken in about 1935, while they were still working on the West Jetty, but before they began the East Jetty extension, which killed the wave at Corona. This spot was first surfed by Duke Kahanamoku in 1912 on his way to the Summer Olympics in Stockholm, Sweden. the second being another Hawaiian transplant, George Freeth, in 1915. Here is a crew unloading rock from a railroad car in a temporary wooden pier. I'm not sure if this was taken in 1916 or 1936, but the basic process was the same. Regardless, it was quite labor-intensive. In this aerial shot taken in 1940, you can see the completed jetties and the results of the harbor dredging project. Notice the amount of increased sand on the peninsula deposited there by the dredgers. Although this extension of the east jetty spelled the end for one surf spot, the extension of the west jetty did just the opposite. It seems that the length of the jetty, the angle at which the swells hit, and the south-facing beach made for one of the craziest freak waves on the coast, the infamous Wedge. At least now, though, boats could safely enter the harbor without fear of being swamped and capsized by large storm surf. You can clearly see the change they made while extending the east jetty. By changing the angle of the jetty, it stopped capturing the south swells. The investors likely anticipated a real estate boom following the opening of the Coast Highway in 1926. Unfortunately, the boom never came, and within a few years the Great Depression set in. It wasn't until after World War II that Newport and the surrounding areas would finally see an influx of home buyers, complete with a new generation of baby boomers, like me. The original 20 acres purchased by the McFadden brothers in 1875 has evolved into an area that now includes over 26,000 acres. Although the story of Newport Beach shares a great deal with its sister beach cities down south, Newport's place in the history of Orange County stands center stage. Just about every city taking root in Orange County in the late 19th century relied on the building materials which were shipped via McFadden's Wharf and the railway the McFadden brothers constructed to bring their goods to the railroad hub of Orange County, Santa Ana. Over the years, Newport continued to evolve with the times. It had to. Easter week revelers are a common sight today in places like Palm Springs, Las Vegas, or Lake Havasu. But starting in the late 20s, young college and high school kids would swarm to Balboa Island and the peninsula during what was called Ball Week. This continued all the way up until the 1960s. Although Ball Week is now a thing of the past, the fun zone at Balboa and the other Newport Harbor attractions continue to lure tourists to this day. Keep in mind that Newport Harbor is one of the largest recreational harbors on the West Coast. Next time you visit, say thanks to the Irvine and McFadden families for their forward thinking and their immeasurable contributions to both the city of Newport and Orange County as a whole. I would like to thank the many local historians, historical societies, and Facebook sites that have provided the bulk of the photographs, historical information about events, names, places, and dates I have included with this colorful peek back into time. Keep in mind that this, like my other videos, is simply an attempt to bring to life the historical photographs and weave them together with names, places, and events, along with a wee bit of local lore. If you are interested in the unique history of Newport Beach and would like to know more, consider becoming a member and donating to the Newport Beach Historical Society. You can reach them at the link below. And again, thanks for watching. Aloha.